Hi, my name is Dennis Spaeth. I'm publisher of Cutting Tool Engineering here at the J.W. Dunn booth at IMTS 2022. And I'm going to be talking to Stan Kroll, the general manager over Orbitool deburring tools, to find out a little bit more about their unique technology and how it's helped some of their, or I'm assuming a lot of their customers. And so we've talked to you before, we've done some demonstrations in the past,
Yep.
and you can see those videos elsewhere on our website and on the J.W. Dunn website. But I'm really curious if, Stan, can you tell us, give us a case study or two of how it's, solved the problem somebody's had.
So when we think of case studies for the Orbitool, of course when we do trade shows, it's we're just trying to educate people that the idea exists. So that's sort of what we found with the tool. It's not so much a kind of a door-to-door salesman where we come and we just hand it to someone, they use it. It almost always comes from the result of some problem they're experiencing. So we could say that pretty much every one of our sales is a case study in itself because someone is coming to us with a fire they have to put out.
Yeah.
Other than that, when people are, whatever way they're getting their parts out the door, if everything's going smoothly, there's no reason for them to look for something new.
Right.
So ultimately what that means is people are coming to us when parts are getting rejected because they're not getting deburred properly. Parts are taking too long to deburr because of the way they're doing it is maybe some old-fashioned way to deburr it by hand or sending it out to secondary processes where it's not necessarily that their parts are getting rejected, but they're just taking too long to get out the door. And then the final component, which is important obviously, but I think for most customers the primary thing is they need a good result. The primary component is cost. Their existing methods are taking too long or it costs too much money. So that's usually where people come to us. One kind of older case study, which we actually have an article from Cutting Tool Engineering here. It was a case study of a Ford Motor Company using our tool on camshafts. And that's sort of the flagship case study we like to present because it was a real tough application. It was a 2-second cycle time we had to hit. They traced back these entire engine failures to this specific oil hole in this camshaft that was not getting deburred properly.
Okay.
And that's how they came to us. So we worked with Akuma in Australia and we ultimately helped them develop a process where everything was done fully on the machine, drilling the oil hole, deburring with the Orbitool, and the part was perfect afterwards. It was a 2-second cycle time. They were getting 8,000 holes per tool. So generally speaking, that's roughly the cost kind of formula that we're looking for is if someone gets a tool for $100, $150, depending on the size, we're looking for $100 for 10,000 holes. That's roughly where we want to be. So that's one particular case study. Another example we've seen is if you think of deburring or any finishing department in a machine shop, it's kind of the final step. So the part is literally at its most expensive, most complex state. We had a customer tell us once where they had a big old manifold, hours and hours of work into it. It's literally at its final step and someone's deburring it by hand. They accidentally jump with a little ball burr or a abrasive stone. They mar the side of the wall and the whole part is scrapped or it needs to go for rework. So that's another example where people come to us with a desire to either not damage the part while they're deburring.
They can't afford that kind of a mistake anymore.
Which kind of comes if we just step over here for a moment. So coming back to that point, in this particular case, it wasn't so much that the customer had, let's say, rejected parts or failures. It was specifically that their current process that they were using was damaging the parts, was costing them money, was costing them time to rework the part. And so I mentioned the damage to the part. The whole concept of the Orbitool is we have this flexible shank and we have this protective disc here. So what that means is when someone's using it by hand, it's impossible to damage the part. This disc is physically preventing the tool from doing any damage anywhere, and the carbide burr can only remove material at the intersection edge. So that's another scenario where someone comes to us with a problem, and ultimately the simple answer is they're just not happy with their current deburring process. Right. So I mentioned the Ford scenario where it was their primary concern was rejected parts, engine failures, camshafts. And then I mentioned this other customer with the part damage. That was a big hydraulic manufacturer, big old hydraulic blocks where their deburring process were taking too slow. So that's kind of a similar one we have recently is one of our, let's say, newish customers from the last 2 years is SpaceX in Southern California. So we're located in Northern California. It's kind of a home state customer for us. And they're working on these Raptor engines. I forget the number. Every rocket booster has 12 or 24 of these engines. They're constantly going through them. And apparently they can't make them fast enough, and the deburring is one of the steps that's a big bottleneck for them.
Time consuming, yeah.
So in that case, I don't have specific numbers the way we've got with the Ford situation in terms of tool life or cycle time. We just know that whatever the process they were using before was taking too long, and they've started using the Orbital to deburr these. They call it for the Raptor program, so it's for the Raptor engine for their boosters.
Very cool. Very cool. So what are the sizes? Now you've had these this line of Orbital for a while, but can you kind of tell us what we got?
So this is sort of our standard range that we've always had. Now the beauty about the Orbital is it's not, some of the other deburring tools require very specific this tool for this hole. So you have to have a large kind of range of tools to cover all various hole sizes. The way the Orbital works is because we're interpolating the hole size and we're following the hole diameter, and we're preloading the tool against the wall with that protective ring. What that means in practical terms is that we can use one tool on any range of holes, right? So while it looks like a fairly simple set, we have customers that might only be using a few tools, or maybe they order one small one, one large one. They may be limited on tool holders. So even if you had 10 different holes and 10 different tools, they don't have tool holder space available for that. So that's one benefit of our tool is we can take one smaller size and use it on all sorts of features. Now, the smallest one that we show here is a 1.8 millimeter, which is 74 thousandths. And we have a new one coming out very soon, or we've already been using it, let's say, for prototypes, for customer testing. So I would say it's pretty much ready for prime time. Is a 1.1 millimeter, 45 thousandths cutter. So we'll be tackling, up to this point, we've only been doing 2 millimeter holes. Now we can approach 1.5 millimeter holes, 50, 60 thousand sizes. And then, of course, we have this giant tool for the dinosaur deburring. And then we do custom lengths as well. So here you're sort of seeing our standard length range. And I would say 95% of our customers use these, or they even cut these down, which is one way that we're adjusting the cutting pressure by varying the shaft length. But then we've got customers ordering, I would say roughly speaking, 2x the standard length. So we got people ordering 6 and 8-inch versions of these mid-sized tools, 10, 12-inch versions of these tools.
And I understand you are in the development stage of coming up with a new size.
Yeah, so the new size is, well, we have a couple prototypes larger than these, not so much larger in terms of the head size, but we assemble it a slightly different way for a thicker shaft. So that's because we've had some customers go deeper and deeper and deeper, and the existing shaft size at this 12-inch length, 300 millimeters, just not enough cutting pressure. So we have a thicker shaft and larger diameter tools going up, but the real focus has been to go smaller. We've had customers asking us for many, many years. We've turned away a lot of customers where if they come to us, they have a 60 thousandths hole. We simply don't have a tool that fits into that. So that's the newest thing we have is that 45 thousandths cutter. It's solid carbide, still has the same features of the Orbital, the protective disc, the flexible shank, and it's a 45 thousandths to approach, let's say roughly 60 thousandths, 55 thousandths hole sizes.
Is that already available?
That's available, yeah.
Okay.
And then the one that's coming soon after that is going to be a 0.8 millimeter, which is roughly going to be a 30 thousandths cutter.
Wow.
Yeah, but that 45 thousandths one I mentioned, that's available now, and we're already testing with some customers on that tool.
Is that like for medical applications or aerospace?
If I think back, in general, we like to say that anyone that's drilling a hole is making a burr. So we don't, let's say, it's hard for us to say that the Orbital is for a specific field. For sure, small stuff. In past years, customers that we've had to send away, definitely a lot of medical has small stuff. Maybe Swiss watches, a lot of tiny holes. But even in automotive, fuel injectors, fuel rails, they have a lot of super high pressure nozzles with very small holes. Those are some of the types of customers that we've had to send away over the years that now we have an option for them.
So almost any industry, really?
Yes, pretty much any industry. Anyone that's buying a drill, they're going to make a burr. And it's impossible to automate every single type of deburring, which is where our hand grinder comes in. And it's also, for speaking to the future, if you're doing all your deburring by hand, that's also impossible to move forward and make consistent parts and make them fast enough. So that's where our CNC solution comes in.
Great. Stan, if someone is watching this video after IMTS is over and they have questions about the technology, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, you're welcome to just go to our website. It's www.jwdunn.com. A very easy way to remember that. The JW Dunn is not anyone's last name in the company. It just stands for Job Well Done. So you go to jwdunn.com, or you simply search Orbitool on Google. Orbitool deburring tools, that's what we make. We're located in California, so what that means, pretty much any calls that we get, any orders we get, they ship out same day. So we're on the right side of the time zone in that sense. If you call us at your 5 p.m., it's 2 p.m. for us. Everything's always in stock, always ships out same day.
Thank you, Stan. I appreciate the time.
Thank you so much for your time.